Hello, Ucho. Let's see passage 1. Passage 1 talks about kidnapping is considered as an extremely serious offence under the Indian Penal Code IPC, which thoroughly defines and criminalizes the unlawful seizure, confinement and displacement of individuals against their consent. So basically जो kidnapping है वो individuals के against होती है. कौन कौन से cases में होती है? या तो आप उनको unlawfully seize कर रहे हो, उनको confine कर रहे हो या फिर उनको displace कर रहे हो उनके consent के बिना, तो हम उसको कहते हैं किडनैपिंग का ऑफेंस. सेवरल प्रोविजंस अंडर आईपीसी सेक्शंस 359 to 369 specifically prohibit kidnapping crimes based on intent, targets and severity of exploitation imposed. Legally kidnapping involves forcefully abducting मतलब किसी को भी जोर जबरदस्ती करके अपने साथ ले जाना, and enticing away another person through coercion या किसी को कोर्स करके मतलब उनको धमका के डरा के थ्रेट्स के थ्रू डिसीट करके कुछ कुछ गलत बता के उनके कंसेंट के बिना कहीं और ले जाना leads to kidnapping. It constitutes illegally removing or transporting an individual for an unlawful purpose. अब इसका जो purpose है वो भी unlawful होता है. अगर कोई authorities ऐसा कर रही है तो उसको हम kidnapping नहीं बोलेंगे क्योंकि वो lawfully कर रही है. IPC recognizes two main types of kidnapping from lawful guardianship and kidnapping from India. तो दो चीज हो सकती है, या तो आपको lawful guardianship के बाहर ले जाया जा रहा है तो उसको किडनैपिंग मानेंगे, या तो आपको इंडिया के बाहर ले जाया जा रहा है तो भी उसको किडनैपिंग मानेंगे. The former relates to the abducting minors from parental custody while the latter deals with displacement across national borders. Beyond defining the act itself, the IPC imposes stringent penalties on multiple associate offences stemming from kidnapping. For instance, abducting people for murder, slavery, ransom, trafficking, and forced marriage carries further charges. The law also prohibits buying or selling of humans, especially minors, for prostitution. In all these cases, harsh sentences aim to deter external penalties from denying citizens their safety, autonomy, and consent. While assessing penalties, the IPC considers various factors. अब जो penalties है वो किस basis पे लगती है? इंसान की demographic profile, vulnerability and scale of exploitation. Hence, kidnapping children, women or mentally challenged people invoke greater punishment. The law also accounts for grievous trauma, emotional, mental and physical, inflicted on victims who are associated and terrorized after losing personal agency. Repeat offences by habitual perpetrators further amplify sentencing guidelines. Through comprehensive legislation covering different kidnapping scenarios and intentions, India upholds the constitutional rights of citizens to liberty, sovereignty and civil protection. तो इंडिया जो है वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स देती है सिटीजन्स को, उनकी लिबर्टी को प्रोटेक्ट करती है, सोवरेनिटी को प्रोटेक्ट करती है और उनको सिविल प्रोटेक्शन भी देती है. Stringent laws acknowledge removing one's consent as among the gravest examples of violating personal rights and dignities. By deterring such exploitation, Indian Penal Code provision seeks to safeguard citizen security and autonomy against internal or external threats targeting the same. Abduction, as defined under Section 362 of Indian Penal Code, involves compelling and inducing a person to move from one place to another against their will. This can be done through forceful means or through deceitful methods. Forceful abduction requires the actual physical force to make the person move. For example, threatening someone with harm or physically overpowering them constitutes forceful abduction. Deceitful abduction involves misleading the person into going to another place by inducing them to do something they wouldn't normally do. For instance, impersonating an police officer to convince someone to accompany you. To constitute abduction, the person must be taken from one place to another. Mere movement without wrongful intention cannot be amount to abduction. Different intention behind abduction lead to different punishments under the law. For example, abduction for kidnapping carries a punishment of up to 10 years of imprisonment, while abduction with the intent of murder may result into life imprisonment. Now that we have seen the abduction and kidnapping, let's see the questions. Question number 1 says, which of the following scenario best exemplifies the crime of abduction under the IPC? A says a teenager is lured away from their home with the promise of a lucrative job only to be confined in an unknown location. This is not the correct option because here the involvement of a minor and taking away from the parental custody will normally lead this scenario for the case of kidnapping and not abduction. B says an adult is deceived into boarding a vehicle by an acquaintance and is then taken to a distant city without their consent. This scenario can be termed as abduction, but here there is no actual harm or the cause of harm, so this scenario is not fully in line with the abduction, so this is also a wrong option. C says a child is taken away from their school by a non-custodial parent without the custodial parent's permission. This is again a case of kidnapping and not abduction. D says a businessman is forcefully taken by a group demanding a ransom from his family for his release. Here, there is a element of unlawfulness and there is a um, intent of harm also. This causes abduction and this is the right option. Let's see question number 2. It says which of the following elements is not required to prove abduction under the IPC as per question 1. तो हमें ये बताना है कि कौन सा एलिमेंट रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है abduction प्रूफ करने के लिए. A says the victim must be taken away from their lawful guard. This is only the right option because when we talk about abduction, it is not necessary that it is only committed against the minor. It can happen against the major people also, and in case of major, there is no lawful guardianship. There is no taking away from the lawful guardianship. So this is not the essential condition that is required for abduction to be proved. So this is the right option. B says the perpetrator may not be using force to carry out the abduction. This is a wrong option because yes, there are the chances that he might or he might not use the force. C says the perpetrator need not necessarily transfer the victim from one place to another. Uh, this is also a wrong option because it will be needed by the perpetrator to do so. D says abduction can take place irrespective whether the means are deceitful or not. Again, an right element, so this is also a wrong option. C, third question says a 5-year-old child Max is taken from the school premises by a person claiming to be distant relative. The school authorities were not informed about any such arrangement. Max's parents were unreachable due to a sudden emergency. The person taking Max asserts that he has parental concern. Is the act of taking Max from the school premises considered kidnapping? A says yes, it is kidnapping. A is the right option because here there is lack of parental concern and here they are taking the child out of the custody and that will be considered as kidnapping. B says no, it is not kidnapping. That is a wrong option because it is kidnapping. C says yes, but only if the school reports it. Even though if the school does not report it, it will amount to the act of kidnapping only. So this is again a wrong option. D says no if the person is a relative. Here there is no establishment that whether the person is saying right or wrong. So again, taking out of the parental custody without their consent will amount to kidnapping. So this is also a wrong option. Let's see question number 4. It says Gia, 12-year-old, leaves her home without informing her parents, intending to visit a friend in another neighborhood. She does not return until the late in the evening. Is Gia's action considered kidnapping? A says yes, it is kidnapping. This is a wrong option because kidnapping involves certain essentials, that is taking away forcefully or by deceptive means. That has not happened in the present scenario. B says no, it is not kidnapping. This is a right option because Gia left the home willingly and there is no signs of forceful abduction or deceptive abduction, so it will not lead to kidnapping per se. C says yes if her parents file a report. Even though her parents file a report, this will not amount to abduction because the essentials are not fulfilled. D says no if Gia went willingly. Willingness is considered as an important factor, but here forceful means or deceptive means are also an important criteria. So just because she went willingly does not make it unfit for kidnapping. So this is again a wrong option. Let's see the last last question, it says, late one evening, Sarah, a college student, receives a message from an anonymous sender claiming to have kidnapped her best friend Alex. The message includes a demand of substantial amount of money in exchange of Alex's release. The sender warns against involving the police and emphasizes the urgency of compliance. Considering the scenario, assess the legal implication of this situation. Is it the case of kidnapping? A says yes, it is a case of kidnapping. This is a right option because here the demand of ransom is existing, not telling the police authority that is lawful act or intention to harm is there, making it a fit scenario for kidnapping. B says no, it is not kidnapping. That is a wrong option because essentials of forceful abduction and demand of ransom are present, making it kidnapping. C says yes, but only if Alex is harmed, even though he might not have harmed. But here there is a movement of the person without the consent and with an unlawful intent, which makes it kidnapping. So this is a wrong option. D says no, if Sarah complies without involving police officials. This is again a wrong option. I hope the passage was understandable. All the very best.